Thekalada is my handle for all social media platforms. Thekalada. When I say all social media platforms, I think I'm only on 3, and that is Facebook, X, and Instagram. All right, that being said, I've said that like 1,000 times. Let's get started with the big stories. And my first big story is so big that everybody is talking about it. Yes, everybody is. The TV stations are talking about it. Social media, it is being talked about. It's one of the trends. News platforms online are talking about it. Radio stations are talking about it. And it has to do with northern monarchs. To Tinubu, we can no longer pacify our subjects. Northern monarchs to Tinubu, we can no longer pacify our subjects. Now, it's really interesting because today is Tuesday. On Monday, we talked about starting a crusade or a prayer meeting. And one of the reasons why we said that was because the Sultan of Sokoto, representing the Muslim folks, and then Pastor Adeboye representing the Christian folks, came out and said prayer, repentance, and going back to God is the solution to our problem. By the way, our second big story may not agree with that, because the second big story is worsened. Reports a worsened situation in the country. However, the reports I'm sorry I'm laughing, but the reports did say that the northern monarchs, led by the Sultan of Sokoto, have told the federal government, see, we will not be able to pacify. We will not be able to tell our subjects not to protest. Remember, protest started some 2 weeks ago. Kanu, it started with Niger, then Kanu, then I think it went to Kogi, or is it Ondo first, then Kogi, and it looks like it is spreading. There are threats that it will soon get to Lagos, and if it does get to Lagos, I'm very sure that it might just spread to other parts of the country. However, the government is asking for patience. The government is asking for more time. The government is saying that it's doing all that it can to put certain measures. For instance, it has released certain food items, setting grains into the market to be able to, combat the high prices, the soaring prices of food items in the marketplace. So the government says it is doing its best. But however, monarch from the north, under the umbrella of Northern Traditional Council (NTC), led by the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, yesterday told the federal government that the hardship, insecurity, poverty and unemployment in Nigeria, and the north in particular, was getting to a level they could no longer pacify the people from revolting. Addressing members yesterday at the Arewa House, Kaduna, during the 6th Executive Northern Traditional Council Committee meeting, the Sultan informed the government that the traditional rulers, religious leaders, as well as state governors had been pacifying the masses and the jobless youth from revolting against political leaders at the helm of affairs. Interesting, right? Very interesting. However, this is a pointer because I'll tell you what is a pointer, but let me say this, because you see, in the north, food production is very high, right? It's very, very common, food production. People can just, farming is the major occupation of someone living in the northern part of the country. Majority of the people there engage in farming, right? For the people in the northern part of the country to begin to cry and say, we can no longer afford food prices, then there is problem. It means that the rest of us, especially in the southern part or in the middle belt, even the middle belt also, they're very rich in food production. It means that the rest of us in the southern part of the country will feel even more pressure as it comes to, or as it relates to food prices, because usually food items, as I've been told over the years, is cheaper in the northern part of the country. In the north, food prices are cheaper. So if the northern people are now crying and saying things are hard, then it means that food production may be shutting down in the northern part. And this is not me trying to cause an alarm or something. I mean, we saw, of course, the trend some while ago where a state governor in the northern part was saying, see, we need to find a way to ensure that our people eat first before we sell food items to other states and outside the country. So it means that the food security in the country is questionable, is not as it should be, and we might just be faced with some kind of situation in the nearest future. And I hope the government will do something about it. I do hope. However, the northern monarchs are saying, hey, we can't pacify them. The federal government should do something about it. I don't know if that's the reason why they've also called the governors, to ensure that the governors also play their part. But that's the situation before us, and that's my biggest story for today. And I wonder what you're thinking about that. I wonder what you're thinking about that. Now, the second big story connected to the first, how inflation usually is calculated 1 month behind. I don't know how to explain that, but usually if, for instance, the inflation rate is to be read, it will be read 1 month after. So like now in the month of February, the inflation that is now 29.90% is inflation for January, right? And in January, inflation was calculated to have reached 29.90%, and that's the hardship that some of you experienced in January. And some of you would agree with me that in February the hardship is somewhat doubled or even tripled. And so that means, if I should estimate the current inflation, I beg your pardon, that would be reading somewhere around 30% or even 31% inflation. If you look at how it's been rising for almost 8-9 months, like for instance, December to January, I think it was 28 point so it was about 1% increment. So if you calculate it in that light, so you're saying February, the month that we find ourselves in, what we're going through now could be somewhere around the region of 30% or 30+% inflation. My goodness, that's high. When you look at countries like Argentina, when you look at countries like Venezuela, yeah, they may have it worse, but when it got to 30%, they began to cry. Well, and are we heading in that direction like the PDP governors, sometime this week talked about? Are we getting there? Or can we do something to ensure that these inflation falls down to the barest minimum? Now, there are stories that the UK has gone into recession, but if you check the inflation rate of the UK, it's still not half of what we have in the country. It's not even near half of what we have in the country. So we may be at a critical time. I just talked about the possibility of food insecurity and how we may, I'm not saying we will, but we may have famine. And my goodness, I wonder how we'll get through such time. And it behoves on the state governors, now for instance, the River State governor, to look at places like HA and ensure that agriculture thrives in the state, just so that we as a people in River State can go through those times if those times become a reality. We could also look at Indiama, where we can go into plantain farming, or we could look at the Songhai farm. We need to look at agriculture now more than ever, because the inflation continues to rise, and I wonder if government has got the capacity to hold it. By the way, I saw a report that dollar, I think it was on social media. Was it social media? Was it a report? Now I can't remember. But that dollar is somewhere around the region of 1,600 naira. So when you think about these things, my goodness, the state governments would have to sit up. They would have to do the needful, and they would have to assist the federal government. But what are your thoughts as it relates to the current state of inflation in the country. Oh my! It means that things are going to be more expensive. January was just 0.1% short of reaching 30%. So I'm very certain that my postulation or my prediction about 30% or 31% may just be what we will see calculated for the month of February. And it's March. Oh my. A quick commercial break. When I do come back, we talk some more. Do stay tuned. Okay, not a commercial break for now. Sorry about that. So we'll just keep talking. Let's see. Another thing I do think we should begin to do is, I don't know, individually, I think we should begin to find ways to fight inflation. Maybe begin to buy things in bulk, things in large amounts. We could do contributions. We could, come together, do contributions and buy, bags of rice in large amounts and then share it. Buy a basket of tomatoes in large amounts and then share it. Because the way I'm looking at the inflation, except something wonderful, miraculously is done, then I don't know. We may just be in for it. But then my third big story is related because we claim every now and then that what we are going through is as a result of the kind of leadership that we have, and it takes my mind back to our prayer conversation, and I would continue to reflect to that conversation for a very long time, I guess. But it takes our minds back to the prayer conversation. A lot of you did call in and you mentioned that prayer is key but not the solution to our problems. Our problem needs the solution of good leadership, and that's what you said, that we need fantastic, wonderful, very strong leadership. And I agree with you on that one. And so the House of Reps, about 60 of them have come out to say such a good idea that good leadership should be what Nigeria needs right now. And given the stories of looting here and there, I'm just imagining that's what they were thinking when they brought up this conversation. But looting here and there, they've decided that Nigeria should go back to parliamentary system of governance. They don't need the executive arm anymore. It's going to be a parliamentary system where the representatives of the people, like we have now, the House of Reps and what do you call it now, the Senate, will be the parliamentarians who will be in charge of governance. Maybe there will not be a two-house system anymore. It will be a one-house system, I guess. And that would also mean that the leader of that house, maybe the prime minister, as it is called in the UK, will now be in charge of governance. So they will be in charge of making laws and executing at the same time. That's my understanding of parliamentary system of government. If I remember my class in secondary school, taught by one very interesting doctor right now. He's a doctor. I don't know if he wants me to call his name, but the point is, the lawmakers are asking for parliamentary system of governance. We tried it one time. It did not work. I don't know if it will work now, because it looks like the presidential system may not also be working for us. But you see, I've said on a plethora of occasions that we maybe just need to devolve governance and stop focusing on the center and stop the feeding bottle approach. Just like now, the president has called the governors and has asked them to do the needful. I believe that's what he asked them to do. And these are trying times, and the governors would have to up the ante, I believe. So, what structure do you believe fits Nigeria the best? Because we tend to copy, but all the things that we copy seemingly does not work for us. Once it gets into our system, it looks like it wasn't meant for us. And recently a lot of people have been saying, tailor your solutions from locally made materials. that the solution to Nigeria's problem is not the laws and the economic terminologies from outside, but it should be done from within. So which is best? I don't know, because now we want to move from presidential, or they are postulating or proposing that we move from presidential and we move to a parliamentarian system of government. For those of you who know a bit about government, for those of you who know a little bit about politics, and maybe you studied it in school, political science and all, this is where your knowledge is needed. How do you see this playing out? Now, a group of lawmakers in the House of Representatives are seeking amendments to the 1999 Constitution to transition from the current presidential system to the parliamentary system government. Now, according to the group made up of about 60 lawmakers, the transition has become necessary to reduce the cost of government in the face of dwindling revenue. Now, titled, the bills proposing constitutional alterations for a transition to parliamentary system of government. Now, the question is, do you think the presidency will sign? And then secondly, why is it the presidency or the executive arm of government that should be sacrificed, to cut down government? Why is it not the legislative arm of government? So we have, a dual parliamentary system. Why don't we make it a one house, reduce the number, remove the House of Reps or remove the Senate, one of it, I don't know, like it's done in the UK. I think there are two houses in the UK. One is the main house, which the Prime Minister belongs to. The other one, I think, is the House of, one is the House of Commons and the other one is the House of Lords, right? I think the House of Lords is the one where people are appointed to, former this, former that, once upon a time this, once upon a time that, are the ones who make up the House of Lords. And, they're not necessarily paid. They do that as an act of service, as an act of love for their nation. So maybe we could copy that style. I don't know. What do you think? 29 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm going to open the phone lines right now, and let's get your thoughts on some of these issues that are currently trending, as seen on social media and on various news media platforms. 0817 923 0002. 0817 923 0003. 0817 923 0007. WhatsApp 0809 0306 Now, I would ask you to keep it short and brief because we have a commercial in about 13 minutes, so please keep it short and brief so we can have as many calls as possible, starting with Robin, who's calling from HA. Robin Marja, the farmer. All right, welcome.
God bless you, Canada.
All right,
I'll go straight to the first story. The northern emirs are telling the federal government, led by President Tinubu, that they can no longer find their people for patients. And like you have chronicled, you can imagine how we are going to face it here. Years back, when I visited Kaduna, on our way coming back, I bought yams. They don't sell in tubers. They group them like that. And if they can be crying like that, we that are the consumers, what are we going to face? How can the government come on board saying that we want to hit the ground running? And what I'm seeing, I don't know about you, the president is always traveling after every 1, 2, 3 weeks. Nothing is happening in agriculture. You will teach a man how to catch a fish, not to act fish, not to act to eat fish. The federal government has been spending money to the extent they past December. President is sharing COVID-19 palliative to governors. Well, let's continue to watch.
All right.
He said we're not very transparent. All
right. Thank you, Robin.
It's going to go.
Thank you, Robin. Yeah, thank you. Good news from Port Harcourt. Welcome.
Good morning, my brother.
It's afternoon.
Good evening.
It's afternoon.
Sorry.
It's still sunny out there. Welcome.
Let me talk about the parliamentary system of government being proposed by members of House of Assembly. You see, Nigerians like climbing the tree from the top. Who told them that it is the amount they spend? For me, that the amount they spend in governance is the problem of Nigeria. Never. For me, that is not the problem of Nigeria.
What's the problem of Nigeria? Tell me.
The amount, yes. The amount, the president, vice president, if you move their money and the ministers, so that one you have solved the problem of Nigeria. No. If you want to even equate it, even the members of the parliament, the National Assembly, the reps, the assembly members, their money is even higher, greater than what ordinarily the president, the vice president, and the ministers are spending for governance. Where the problem for me lies is one, corruption.
Okay.
Persons in this government, even in the National Assembly, in the presidency, in the ministry, they loot money that does not belong to them. Imagine the secretary to government under Buhari, according to the news we heard, somebody forged a signature of 62 trillion naira. 52 trillion naira. Was that spent on the executive or on the parliamentary system of government? No. Somebody stole it. That is the one we heard. What about the ones we have not heard? You come to the parliamentary, they will say 70 billion naira for the palliative. That is what we have heard.
All right.
After the last year said he will send prayers to their people. Not a part of their amount they owe. They are supposed to be paid to. So the problem for me in Nigeria is not all about executive arm or parliamentary system. It's about those same persons who are there now about exploiting. For me, he's plotting. I'm alleging that he's plotting to become the head of government against President Tinubu.
All right then. Thank you very much. I've got to let you go at this point. EJK from SAS Road. EJK, welcome. What is on your mind?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kalada, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I hope you're doing great as well.
Yeah, I'm doing success. God has been faithful.
All right then.
Quickly, I don't set work, and in this parliament, we'll call a spade, irrespective of whose house is God.
Okay.
Good. Mr. Speaker, it is very obvious that what is happening in this country cannot be tolerated elsewhere in any part of the world. Now, people are crying that crimes are increasing on a daily basis. I am not holding brief for crimes. The other anchor that left the studio before you, we made mention of doctors compromising and doing unethical practices. Okay, this is just one part of the problem. If I call for revolution, I believe you would say it's going against the NBC. Whatever.
I know. I mean, you're entitled to a protest, a peaceful protest, as long as you're not disrupting.
Thank you. Bless you.
You're entitled. It's in your constitution.
So, peaceful protest is also a very right step. But trust me, Tinubu has disappointed the people that voted him.
All right.
I'm telling you, I'm coming.
No. I need to summarize your conversation as quickly as possible.
Summarize quickly.
Yeah.
If what is happening is not being quelled, I want Tinubu himself to open up the borders. Let there be for the government for things to work well. It's very simple. These refineries can be put into functional, operations. The border should be opened. See, if these two things is done, every other thing will be taken care of. I'm coming, sir. You
no. I need to go now. Really.
Okay,
let
me just summarize quickly. Now, we heard about some bank executives. A central bank will give them dollars and hold this money and give to Aboki Beru to change. What has the federal government done That's another aspect. But
All
let
right.
them work on
All right.
refineries
Thank
and
you
open
very
the
much,
borders.
AGK. I've given you enough time. Hector from Obogoro, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you. Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, legislators calling for a parliamentary system of government as against the presidential system. We have run the parliamentary system before, and it seems it did not work. I think that was the first republic. Now the question is, why did it not work? Is it because it's expensive to run? Why is the presidential system not working? Is it because why is the presidential
we would have to ask historians. We would have to ask historians on that one. Yeah.
Now, why is the presidential system not working? Are they telling us it's because it's too expensive? I don't think so. The reason why the presidential system is not working is because of too much corruption still in the system. So even if you adopt the parliamentary system, the people that are going to run the parliamentary system are going to come down from heaven, or the same corrupt mindset Nigerians.
So you're saying corruption.
Now, the UK is running parliamentary system. Why is it working? The United States is running presidential system, and we are running presidential system. Why is our goal not working? And that of US is working. Other countries run presidential system, and it is working for them. Why is our whole not working? I think these are questions that we need to ask. It is attitudinal change. We need to change. As a people, we need to change.
All right.
The corruption and stealing is too much. That is why things are so difficult in this country. It is not the system that we are running. Even democracy itself is not the perfect system of government, but democracy is good.
All right. Hector, thank you very much.
The emirs,
the Sultan of Sokoto.
The food production. I've often called for the southern regions to go into food production.
Okay.
Maybe because I'm an ordinary citizen,
okay,
people don't give yes to us.
All right.
You see, we should encourage food production, especially our religious organizations.
Hector, I've got to go.
It's not all about building of mega university, expensive schools here and there.
Okay.
But we should also invest in agriculture. Our religious organizations, they should look into that direction.
I agree with you.
It will help the society.
Thank you,
the
Hector.
church is there to solve societal problems, and not just to prepare people for heavens that we don't know.
All right, Hector, I'm sorry, I've got to let you go. Zion from Jerry, welcome. What is on your mind, please? Straight to the point.
Yeah, their request for a parliamentary system of government is to tell you how regurgitating they have lost ideas. How they no longer want to stand and face the truth and tell themselves the reality of things.
What is the reality?
Responsibility.
What is the reality of things?
Most of them, they are not fit to be there. Most of them, they smuggled their way in there. Most of them, they were bribed their way in there. I think you can attest it with the words of the former or the one of a member of their house to book a short statement. The truth is this: when you are not talking about parliamentary, later you come and tell us that we are not practicing through parliamentary system of government. You know, so share the dress that they told you are not practicing through democracy. Later they say it's pseudo democracy. Now, if we now go to parliamentary, they will not say we are not practicing pseudo parliamentary.
So, what's your point? Because I've got to go. What's your point?
Canada. You can see the clowns we position there. People who are not competent handling sensitive offices in governance.
Okay.
And today look the poverty and the shame and ridicule Nigeria have been positioned. Our naira that used to be a treasure, a gold and asset that people struggle to touch, the naira. Now the naira is now worthless because of incompetent people in office. Because of incompetent policies. Now IMF needs to come and tell us what to do. If we truly are educated enough to be there, who is IMF to tell Nigerians to come and remove subsidies in electricity?
Zion, I've got to go.
Shame.
I've got to go.
You're okay with this democracy? Let's practice it like this.
Okay. All right. Muriel from Okrika. But just before Muriel, expresses her thoughts, I should let Zion know that there's a difference between democracy and the other types of democracy. What's the other one again? Autocracy.
Hi, KDB.
Yeah, Mira, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, KDB, the owners and the sultans, they say they can no longer curtail or both pacify their people.
Yeah.
This KDB, you see, the Northerners, when they say they are done, they are done.
Okay.
When they say they are tired of something, trust me. That's why, KDB, I believe that if there wants to be any change, if you want to see any change in this country, trust me, KDB, it will start from the north. If they say they are tired of this government, trust me, they will all come out in one language and one voice. It is not we in the south here that we just speak grammar and so good grammar. But at the end of the day, we enter into our houses, air conditioned houses, and we relax. Trust me, KDB, these are the people that are feeling the heat. And when they say they are done, they are done. There is nothing the enemy can do. Even the president, they are ready to crush him and move on. So when they say they are done, in fact, this warning the president needs to see to it. And I hear KDB that even today is trying to make light of the situation that they should not use as distractors. They are politicians that are trying to look. KDB, the president doesn't even need to travel at this point again. He doesn't need to move. He has to come back because you see this our northern brothers, when they say they are done, they are done. They are going to bring it to you at your doorstep. And you were asking what kind of government, I was asked of Fred, look, if they think that if we want to go to a parliamentary system of government, that we are going to use them, these corrupt people that we see, allegedly corrupt persons, as our leaders, we are going to use them to start if at all we want to do it. Then they should think again. In fact, they should their mind they should know that they are in the blues right now.
All right.
So if we want to go into a parliamentary system, we're going to use them, this type of politicians we have. We will not go and invest fresh minds, intellect, people that are just like I told you yesterday. So managers of business, all nice.
All right.
We're going to use them.
All right.
And you were asking the system of government. I think if there's a way, maybe a country ruled by God, it's a name they call it. Now it's keeping my mind, but
Muriel, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So God should come down and rule Nigeria. Emi Fiaga says, greetings, Canada. The hunger is really biting hard across the country. However, the way some Nigerians talk and think baffles me a lot. We talk as if we operate only one tier of government in the country, and the various states' governments have no obligation to their states and natives, just like the northern elders are opening now. What happened to the various governors and government in the north that northern elders are beckoning on President Tinubu at the center? Every citizen who is disappointed or dissatisfied with the current state of our economy should judge the economy beginning with their respective state and local governments. We have what have they done or are doing to better the economy? What are the governors expending? What are they expending their budget on? Our people need to wake up from shielding our governors because they are our brothers, but we already lambast the federal government and expect the federal government to do everything for us. This is really bad for us. Bad of us, you said. But Emi Fiaga, I should ask you, don't you heard the saying, or haven't you heard the saying, that the macro affects the micro? Right, the macro affects the micro, and so if the macro affects the micro, that means that things like insecurity would make it difficult for states, especially in the northern part, to thrive. Gift from Alu, welcome, Gift. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear.
Hello, Canada. Good evening.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I want to talk in regards to the northern traditional councils. That people will be moved, that the people will be moved to protest. I want to tell Nigerians as they protest, let them push for their rights and be careful of the police, because now intelligence reports will be coming up and down like flyover in Port Harcourt. They have intelligence reports, who don't want to do this, who don't want to do that. And this is when police will now show that they are so agile, but they are also suffering with us. So I encourage the people. Protest is not a crime. It is not a sin. shut down Nigeria for once.
When you say shut down, Nigeria, what do you mean? When you say shut down Nigeria, what do you mean?
When I say shut down Nigeria, the politicians, their means of movement, shut it down.
But have you when you make this, I mean, your economy is terrible already. Are you saying the economy should be thrown into the gutters and no hope at all so that everybody perish? I mean, are you not surviving? Are you saying that? I'm asking you, are you not surviving? Anyways, thank you very much. Obed from Port Harcourt, welcome.
Canada, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
Canada, some lawmakers calling for change of system of government from presidential to parliamentary. I just have one question to ask. Assuming without considering that parliamentary, who is going to man the system? Are they going to come from heaven?
Okay.
Yes. Our problem is not the kind of system of government. Our problem is politicians should fall down on the cost of governance. How will you tell me that a government just came into power has made appropriations to buy of 5 billion naira?
No, Obed, they did not. We've talked about this before. They did not make that appropriation. It was already bought, already ordered by Buhari's administration, and they were going to pay for it.
It's okay. I don't want to go into that. Now, talking about the jeep, that our lawmakers bought a jeep at the cost for one CV jeep. So what are we talking about? Our problem is not the kind of government we are running. It's not the system of government. Our problem should be straight to the constitution.
All right.
Our constitution made a provision for a certain individual, 36 of them, that are the head of the state, to collect a certain sum. They quoted it a name called food. Nobody, guys, no way, no appropriation. You cannot account to anybody. Just collect the money and do it anyhow. Is that kind of system how they run the government? You understand? So our problem is not the system of government. Our problem is our leaders to cut down on the cost of governance. Let's not go back to our constitution. Trying to remove things that have become impediment for growth.
Okay.
That is the problem we are facing.
All right, Obed, thank you very much. We've got to let you go there. Let's read some messages. This one says, hello, KDB. The parliamentary system works. It's just that it was scuttled by the military coup. Anonymous. If it works, why did the military, perform a coup? I'm just wondering. And like I said, the historians will help us with that one. This one says, it is said that when a problem is known, it is already half solved. Kalada, the president and the governor's meeting is not the issue. Are they ready to stop playing politics with Nigerians? Are they ready to make the sacrifices that are required of progressive leaders all over the world to rescue this country from the ugly situation? The sacrifice I mean here is to cut down the bogus cost of governance in Nigeria. Is that not why, Troops, of course, that's your message, is that not why they are looking at changing the system of government? The parliamentary system is not the solution, but true federalism is the way forward. Pastor Alfred Datubo. Pastor Alfred, thank you. This one says, Northern monarchs to Tinubu, we can no longer pacify our subjects. Remember, under President Buhari, it was a ram to protest. Okay, I won't use the other words you use. I won't read them. But you went ahead to say lawmakers propose parliamentary system of governance. The problem is not with the system. The problem is with those operating the system. Is the USA not operating the presidential system? The difference between a bad and a good system is the respect for the rule of law. For instance, in the US, it is not permissible for a cop to assault a suspected criminal. They could lose their badge for doing that. Over here, a lockback can threaten you with, I will shoot you and nothing will happen. Truly, nothing will happen. Newton Ikire. All right, Newton, thank you. But Mike is saying, good afternoon, Kalada. No matter how they pretend to tell us to pray for a better country, when reality hits, like the weather in River State, they will feel the heat. These politicians should change and avoid pushing the people too much. Mike from Thai. This one says, Canada, I think I do have a commercial, right? Okay, so I do have a commercial. But it says, good afternoon. In parliamentary system like in the UK, bicameral legislature is still maintained like in presidential type of government, except in countries like Israel where ministers are appointed from the legislators. Okay, you know what? I read your message once I come back from this commercial break. It's a short commercial. However, I think, yes, I mentioned that, yes, they still have a two-house system of legislature. However, one is out of goodwill. They're not necessarily being paid, according to what I read. We will be right back. To stay tuned.
Christ Embassy, Port Harcourt Zone 1 presents Total Experience Port Harcourt with Pastor Amici Udaku. An amazing time of worship, the Word, and miracles. Date, February 23rd, 2024. Time, 7 p.m. till dawn. Venue, Love World City at Howley Farm Road, Port Harcourt, River State. For more inquiries, please call 091-239-55322 or 081-6545-2694 or 081-6740-7421. Don't miss it. See you there. God bless you.
Phenomenal sound.
You're tuned to your number one talk station, Nigeria Info. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to Hard Facts.
All right, let's read some stories, rather some text messages, and let's get your thoughts, and let's hope for development, and let's see what is on your mind there. Some of the messages on Facebook, I think I've read them, but let's say this one from Engineer Offerum Henry. He says, good day, Canada. Things have really gone wrong in our country, Nigeria. Wahala day. #politics don't finish our leaders. And then there is Eferebo Akbakarite. My brother Canada, Nigerians are in big trouble as I don't see any solution at sight, considering, or in sight, I guess that's the right way to put it, considering the present crop of politicians leading this country. They are square pegs and round holes. We need the likes of former finance minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and former CBN governor Lamido Sanusi to be reappointed leaders out of these economic woes we currently find ourselves. All right, thank you. Let's quickly go back to WhatsApp platform. You said in parliamentary system like in the UK, bicameral legislature is still maintained like in a presidential type of government, except in countries like Israel where ministers are appointed from the legislators. But I don't think that our problem is our type of government, but poor application of the form of government. For example, constitutionally we are a federal system, but in reality we are running a unitary system where everything is determined by the central government. No system is foolproof, but corruption and poor implementation of external laws are our problems. The debate on moving from presidential back to parliamentary system is a diversionary tactic to divert the attention of Nigerians from the failure of Tinubu's government. DK with that one. All right, this one says, we the common masses are the major reason why there is so much inflation in the land. Every dealer of a product or service is eagerly waiting to increase the price of the product or service. The common Nigeria has no love for its fellow countryman, thereby the inflation keeps soaring. Bright now from OG. And then it says the system of government that the politicians should adopt is agape system of government. I see what you did there. This one says, I am Macho Ibube Jonathan from Ikodi and Gene. The problem of Nigeria is not presidential or parliamentary systems of government. Our problem is that of leadership. Our leaders are kakistocastic in nature. Okay, I get you. And that is the bane of the country. Until we have a competent leader devoid of corruption, we go nowhere and the society will continue to suffer. And Emi Fiega is back. I guess I asked a question and is responding now. And it says Section 11 of the 1999 Constitution has altered, allows state government to legislate on orderliness, peace, security, etc. at the state level. This was bettered. This is what bettered Amoteku in the southwest. Why can't the governors be sincere in securing life and property in their domains? The lawmakers calling for a return to parliamentary system in Nigeria are jokers and should not be taken serious. Emi Fiaga. Talking about security, Emi, you would agree with me that even though they form these, security outfits, they can't carry guns. I mean, there was that debate before the Ondo State governor died, was the former governor, So there are all of these issues. But this one says double wala for Nigeria. Cost of living is really beating on Nigeria. Biting, is it beating? I don't know. Beating on Nigerians. Thank God ability to agree with that one. And finally, do I have time to read this? Good afternoon, KDB. For the economy and insecurity, ours is spiritual. What goes around comes around. Okay, I've got to go now. It's time for the business news, so I'm sorry about that.
Hey guys, it's your girl Sharon Oja from Flossing. It's 4 p.m.